Alright, so Dawn of War won the vote, so today we're going to take a look at 3 big options and pit them all against each other in a free-for-all. Now before we even start, all 3 of these are utterly brilliant, there's not a bad option on here, but I'll still do my best to make a recommendation at the end of these. All 3 of these are going to be for Soulstorm. In my opinion, why not use the final expansion? But I will concede that Soulstorm itself can be a bit of a controversial pick. It has a number of issues, particularly in terms of balance, bugs, and how aircraft were implemented. Balance is completely irrelevant to us since all these mods are so massive in scale that they reshape the balance entirely. Bugs can still be an issue, but most of the mods here have fixes, and we're going to do something in a moment to make them more stable anyways. And aircraft were something I personally never minded. Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't like them because they hang quite low, but frankly I find that that's accurate to tabletop anyway. Anyways, I mentioned that we're going to make your game more stable, so first things first, we're going to make this game use the full 4 gigs of RAM so it doesn't crash basically anytime stuff gets chaotic. There's two ways of doing this. There's an easy way and a hard way, but I'm going to show you the hard way so you can learn how to do it on other games and programs if you want to. If you do want the easy way, it'll be the very first link in the description. For those of you who wanted to learn the sort of basic entry-level programming, I've attached a walkthrough for how to do it, but basically all you're going to do is use a program that converts 2GB programs from Windows 32 into using 4GB but via patch. Now, since you've done all that work, you might be wondering why you did all that work. Well, apart from the fact that those of you who did things the hard way will now have even better performance than those who just used the patch, a lot of the skills you pick up from doing things this way have applicability elsewhere. So for example, that the more difficult 4GB patch, you can use that on any 32GB program, and offsetting the game so that it runs only on Core 2 or higher, that can also be used on older programs that only use a single thread where performance can be very limited. Okay, but this has been a long time without even looking at a mod yet, so let's get started on that front. We're going to start with the one I have the most experience with and the one I've been using for years now, Ultimate Apocalypse. Ultimate Apocalypse, as its name implied, is focused on the extreme end of the scale. What was once late game in vanilla is now mid game in Ultimate. Okay, we're not going to keep calling it that. From here on out, we're calling it UA. UA adds in a couple tiers above what used to be the top tier. So the first of these two tends to be sort of entry-level super units, so like Imperial Knights, super smaller Titans, super heavy aircraft, stuff like that. After that though, you get into like full fat Titans and super weapons. If it's your first go around, some players find UA to be a little overwhelming just owing to the sheer breadth of options given to you. If you're wanting to learn, you can make it easier on yourself so you can limit things to certain tiers while you're learning, or intentionally gimp the economy so even getting tier 3 units will take quite some time. However, once you've learned, you'll come to appreciate just how much stuff there is available, as it lets you run the same race multiple times and have completely different styles of gameplay each time. I myself tend to turn off the super weapons as I find that they change the late game a little too much for my liking, and I crank the hell out of building health, but honestly the sheer amount of options included with this lets you tweak the game in any manner you could ever think of. Doing something like assassination mode when there's titans and super weapons capable of wiping out your hero in one shot is super fun. Meanwhile, the RPG mechanics also included with this for heroes means you can keep your main dude safe even deep into the late game as long as you invest into it. I've also set up me versus everyone computer games where even just surviving is a challenge and eliminating everyone takes oodles of patience. UA, though it has the least amount of factions in our comparison, has a lot of extra work done even for modded factions. Rather than just directly porting the Daemon Hunters, Chaos Demons, and Tyranids, they've all been upgraded to get super weapons and Titans or Titan equivalents where appropriate, so they're all just as fleshed out. I'm sure as hell not going to say that they're all balanced, but honestly it's not super far off, and really who cares if they're small imbalances. That said, UA isn't all lollipops and rainbows. First things first, your computer had best be strong. UA tends to out and out crash far more so than the other two competitors. The pace of updates has also slowed dramatically in the last while. Word on the interwebs is that apparently it was caused by a split between the original mod author and the rest of the team, but I couldn't seem to find any proof of that. Regardless of what caused it though, things are definitely slow going in the interim. For example, the last update was in April and we still have no idea when the next update's actually going to come out. Another casualty of the slow development pace is that they have out and out said that they will not implement any new races to it. They're not the only mod to suffer this issue, but it's a little disappointing to know that what you see here is all you'll ever see in terms of races. And considering that UA already has the least amount of races of any mod in this comparison, it hurts especially bad. Frustratingly, it's also nearly impossible to force merge mods into UA given how wildly different they are. Most of the ones I tried to completely failed, and the one that I did manage to do so with, it just got absolutely pummeled by the UA races because they can grow bigger, faster, and they have a significantly stronger late game. But anyways, that's going to be the first of our 3-way free-for-all. Come back tomorrow for the second entry into the scrum. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.